My ex-wife thought the call had ended, and I wasn't supposed to hear what she said about me. But I heard every word, and it shattered 9 months of believing she was glad to be rid of me. Her name is Claire. Mine is Daniel. We'd been divorced for almost a year, the kind of divorce that didn't explode but quietly suffocated two people who once promised forever and then slowly forgot how to look at each other, across the same kitchen table. By the time we signed the papers, we barely spoke. I had convinced myself she'd stopped loving me somewhere around year 4. I had built my whole new life on that belief. The empty apartment, the polite co-parenting texts, the careful distance. But that night, the call didn't disconnect. She thought I'd hung up. She thought she was alone with her sister, and in the space of one unguarded sentence, the woman who divorced me said something she was never, ever supposed to let me hear, something that made me sit down on the edge of my bed and stare at the phone like it had reached back through a year of silence and grabbed me by the throat. Because if she still felt that, then why did she let me go? Why did she sign the papers without a word? And what was I supposed to do now that I knew the truth she'd been hiding behind every cold, civil goodbye? The call had started so ordinary it almost hurt. It was a Tuesday. Claire called about Sophie, our daughter, 6 years old, missing 2 front teeth, and convinced she was the boss of both of us. Sophie had a fever. Nothing scary, just a parent thing. We talked schedules. Who picks her up? Who keeps the medicine? 2 adults dividing a child between them like furniture, polite as strangers at a bank. She wants you to bring the dinosaur blanket, Claire said. The green one or the angry one? The angry one, obviously. And for half a second, I heard the old Claire, the one who laughed at our own jokes, before anyone else could. Then it was gone, folded back behind that careful voice she used with me now. The voice that said, "We're fine, we're civil, we're done." "Okay," I said. "I'll drop it tomorrow." "Thanks, Daniel." "Good night, Claire." I pulled the phone from my ear. I thought I pressed end. I always thought I pressed end. But the screen stayed lit, the seconds still climbing. And I set it face down on the nightstand the way I'd done 1,000 times and walked to the bathroom to brush my teeth. That's when I heard her sister's voice come through the speaker. "Megan," clear as if she were standing in my room. Was that him? I froze with the toothbrush in my hand. I should have walked back and ended it. I know that. A decent man ends it. But there's something that happens to your body when you hear your own name spoken in a room you were never invited into. Your feet stop. Your breath waits. The decent part of you arrives half a second too late. "Yeah," Claire said. "Sophie's blanket. You okay?" A pause. The kind of pause that has weight. "I'm always weird after I talk to him," Claire said. "You know that." "Claire, don't." I stood in the dark hallway, the cold tile under my bare feet, my heart suddenly loud. "Can I ask you something?" Megan said gently. "And you won't get mad?" That sentence always makes me mad. "Do you regret it?" And there it was. The question hanging in the air of my ex-wife's kitchen, and somehow in mine too. I gripped the doorframe. Claire was quiet for so long I thought maybe she wouldn't answer. Then she let out a breath that sounded like it had been trapped for a year. "Every single day," she whispered, "I let go of the only man I ever loved, because I thought he stopped loving me. And I was too proud to ask if I was wrong." The toothbrush slipped out of my hand and clattered into the sink. I didn't even hear it. Because the woman who signed those papers without a single tear, the woman I'd spent 9 months believing was relieved to be free of me, had just said the one thing that turned my entire story inside out. She still loved me. She'd always loved me. And she thought I was the one who'd stopped. I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of my bed until the room turned gray with morning, replaying one sentence over and over until it stopped sounding like words and started sounding like a wound. I let go of the only man I ever loved because I thought he stopped loving me. Thought I stopped. I pressed the heels of my hands into my eyes. Because here was the thing that made my chest cave in. She wasn't wrong about the silence. She was only wrong about what it meant. Somewhere around year 4, life got heavy. Bills. A baby who didn't sleep. A job that ate me alive. And I did what my father did, and his father before him. I went quiet. I stopped saying the soft things. I told myself love was the roof over our heads. The early mornings, the staying. I thought showing up was the saying. I never once imagined she was lying awake beside me, reading my silence as a goodbye. We were two people drowning 3 feet apart, each thinking the other had already swum to shore. At 7 a.m. I texted her. Your call last night didn't disconnect. I heard what you said to Megan. I think we need to talk. Not about Sophie, about us. The dots appeared, vanished, appeared again, then nothing. For 4 hours, nothing. I drove the dinosaur blanket to her place and left it with her neighbor because I couldn't trust my own face at her door. I went to work and stared at a spreadsheet like it was written in a foreign language. And just when I'd convinced myself she'd never reply, my phone buzzed. The park. The one by Sophie's school. 5 o'clock. She was already there when I arrived, sitting on our bench, and it was ours. The one where we used to bring Sophie when she was small enough to fit in the crook of one arm. Claire had her coat pulled tight, even though it wasn't cold. Her hair was down. She didn't look up when I sat, leaving a careful, awful gap between us, like two people who used to share a bed and now didn't know where to put their hands. The wind moved the leaves above us. Somewhere, a kid laughed. The whole ordinary world kept going, rude and bright, like it didn't know mine had cracked open. This is humiliating, Claire said finally, staring straight ahead. It's not. I said that to my sister, in my own kitchen. I didn't say it to you. I know. My voice came out rough, and I'm sorry I heard it that way. I'd give anything to have heard it from your face, instead of a phone you forgot to hang up. She turned then, and her eyes were already wet, already fighting it. Why does it matter, Daniel? She said. We signed the papers. It's done. We're good now. We're finally good. Why would you drag all of it back up over one stupid thing I said when I was tired? Because it wasn't stupid. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, and made myself say the thing I'd been too quiet to say for years. You said you let go of the only man you ever loved because you thought he stopped loving you. She flinched. Claire. My throat closed. I pushed the words through anyway. I never stopped. She shook her head fast, like she could refuse it. Don't do that. I never stopped loving you. Not at year 4. Not when we signed. Not for one single day since you left. Then why didn't you say anything? It broke out of her. Not a question, a year of pain finally tearing loose. She was crying now, no longer hiding it. 4 years, Daniel. 4 years of you coming home and going quiet and looking through me like I was furniture. I begged you with my eyes every night to just see me, and you'd just turn off, like the lights, every night. What was I supposed to think? And there it was, her side, the thing I'd never let myself imagine. I thought I was protecting you, I said, and my own voice cracked down the middle. I thought if I kept everything steady, the money, the house, the showing up, that was the love. My dad never said it either. He just stayed. I thought staying was enough. I didn't know the quiet was killing you. I swear to God, Claire, I didn't know. She put her hand over her mouth. I left because I thought I was setting you free, she whispered through her fingers. I thought you were staying out of duty, because of Sophie. I thought you'd be relieved. Relieved. I laughed, but it came out wrecked. Claire, I cried in the car for an hour after I dropped the keys off. I just made sure you never saw it. We sat there with the truth finally between us. The whole stupid, heartbreaking truth. That neither of us had fallen out of love. We just stopped speaking the same language and called the silence a divorce. So we ended a marriage, Claire said slowly, wiping her cheeks. Over a misunderstanding. Over two people too scared to ask one honest question. She let out a sound that was half sob, half laugh. We're idiots. We're catastrophic idiots. And for 1 second, one fragile, golden second, she almost smiled at me the way she used to. Then her face fell, and she pulled her coat tighter, and she said the thing I was afraid of. But Daniel, knowing it now, doesn't fix it. We already broke it once. What if we're just the kind of people who break things? What if we go back, and in another 4 years, we're right here again, only this time it kills Sophie too? And she stood up. I can't risk losing you twice, she said, and she walked away. I let her walk 10 steps. Then I stood up, and I did the one thing I'd never done in our entire marriage. I didn't go quiet. Claire, stop. She froze on the path, her back to me, the wind pulling at her coat. You're right, I called out. We broke it once. And maybe we are the kind of people who go quiet when it gets hard. I am. I know that now. My voice shook, but I didn't stop it. But you're walking away for the exact same reason you walked away the first time. You're guessing what I feel instead of asking me. So this time, ask me. Turn around and ask me to my face. Slowly she turned. Ask you what? She said. Ask me if I'm willing to learn how to say it. I closed the distance between us, one step at a time, until there was nothing left to hide behind. Because I will. I'll go to counseling. I'll say the soft things out loud, even when they scare me. I'll tell you every single day what I should have told you for 4 years. I'm not asking you to trust the man who went silent on you, Claire. I'm asking you to give a chance to the man standing here who finally figured out why he did. Her chin trembled. What if it's not enough? She whispered. Then at least we'll have tried with the truth, I said, instead of ending with a lie. For a long moment, the only sound was the wind and a distant swing set creaking. And then Sophie's voice cut through everything. Daddy? We both turned. Claire's mother was walking up the path from the school with our daughter, gap-toothed, dinosaur blanket trailing from one hand like a cape, running full speed toward me. She crashed into my legs and looked up, fever gone, cheeks pink. Mommy said you brought the angry blanket. I did. Baby? Then Sophie looked between us, her mother crying, her father's eyes wet, and she did what only a 6-year-old can do. She grabbed Claire's hand, grabbed mine, and pulled them together in the small space between us. You're standing too far apart, she announced, like it was the most obvious problem in the world. Claire let out a sound, a laugh that was really a sob, or a sob that was really a laugh, and looked down at our daughter's tiny hands holding ours together. Out of the mouths of babes, her mother murmured, and gently steered Sophie a few steps away. Come on, Bug. Let's go feed the ducks. Give Mommy and Daddy a minute. And then it was just us again. But this time, neither of us let go of the hand a 6-year-old had joined. I'm so scared, Daniel, Claire breathed. So am I said. But I'm done being scared quietly. That's the deal. From now on, when I'm scared, you'll know. When I'm happy, you'll know. When I love you so much I can't breathe, and that's most days, Claire. It's been most days for 10 years. You will know. The tears spilled over. Say it, she whispered. The thing you never said enough. Say it now. I took her face in both my hands, the way I used to, before life made us forget. I love you, I said. I never stopped. I'm sorry it took a phone call I wasn't supposed to hear to make me brave enough to say it. I love you, Claire. Come home. Or let me come home. I don't care which house, just let me come home to you. And she rose up on her toes and kissed me, there on the path by Sophie's school. With the ducks and the wind and our daughter shrieking, "Ew!" from 20 feet away, she kissed me like a year of silence was finally breaking. We didn't rush after that. We did it right this time. Counseling on Thursdays. Awkward, honest dinners. Learning each other again like two people who'd been handed back something they thought they'd lost forever. 6 months later, I moved back in. A year after that, we stood in our own backyard. No lawyers, no papers ending anything this time, and we said the vows over again. Sophie was the flower girl and the ring bearer, because she refused to choose. And on the night before that second wedding, Claire called me just to say goodnight. When we finished talking, neither of us hung up right away. We just sat there in the quiet, listening to each other breathe. You still there? She finally asked. I'm here, I said. I'm not going anywhere ever again. And from now on, you'll always hear it. Every word. Because we'd learned the one thing that almost cost us everything. Love isn't just staying. Love is saying, and the most dangerous silence in the world is the kind between two people who never stopped loving each other, and were just too afraid to say it out loud. Now, let me leave the viewers with something to sit with. If the person you loved most could hear your most honest, unguarded thought tonight, the one you've been too proud or too scared to say out loud, what would they finally hear? And what is stopping you from telling them while you still can? Don't carry that silence forever. Tell your story in the comments. Someone out there needs to read it. And if this story touched you, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.